Get 50% off a subscription to IBJ and Inside Indiana Business. This Cyber Week only, get unlimited digital access and the award-winning IBJ newspaper at half off. Stay ahead with the stories, insights, and trends shaping Indiana business. But hurry, this deal ends December 5th at midnight. Visit ibj.com/cyberweek to get 50% off your subscription today.
Every day that I go there, it's magical. It gives me butterflies and goosebumps every time I go there.
Roll with the punches, son. The 12th time is the charm at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Twin Checkers Way. TK has won the 2013 500.
It's for the fans. It's for my dad that's not here, and but mainly for all of you guys. I mean, I was looking at the stands and it was unbelievable. So this is it, man. I made it. Finally, I'm going to put my ugly face in that trophy.
TK does indeed have his head on the renowned Borg-Warner Trophy now, an IndyCar champion with a track record that made him a fan favorite. Kanaan's journey from Brazil to victory lane in Indianapolis to taking the wheel now as an executive with Arrow McLaren Racing. He's my guest this week on the Business and Beyond podcast, presented by PNC. Really pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by Indy 500 champion and the current team principal at Arrow McLaren Racing, based here in Indianapolis. A team that's been making a lot of moves here in the off season, if you will. And Tony Kanaan, great to be with you. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, pleasure, Gerry. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, this is the off season, I guess, but perhaps there's no off season in racing. Your team, Arrow McLaren, has been making a lot of moves this week, announcing an addition to your stable of drivers with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Talk about that addition this week and what it means to the team going into 2026.
Obviously, Gerry, we're trying to. People think off season, like you said, it's now you guys going to relax, and it's completely the opposite. In season, actually, we don't have a lot of time to do a lot of things, so we kind of simplify things. We're flying to race every weekend. So obviously, since I took this job as a team principal a year ago, we've been trying to raise the bar of the team. And we have a fourth car at the Indy 500. That's how I actually came to this team almost 3 years ago now. The history of that car, it was always like, it was the fourth car in the team that was going to reinforce the other three to have a chance to win the biggest race in the world. I was lucky enough to experience that, and I know how important that is. And, think about the drivers we had in that fourth car prior to even myself. Juan Pablo Montoya, then Kyle Larson for 2 years. Then myself, Kyle Larson, and now it was my responsibility to find a guy up to the standard that I'm going to put in that car to be worth all the distraction that is going to add to this team, because we have 3 full-time cars. Yeah. And that car is a fourth car that we need to actually spread ourselves a little thinner to run that car as far as crew engineering. And so I needed a champion. Coincidentally, he was my teammate. He is a friend, which is awkward when you kind of go do business with your friend and you have to decide contract. But it was the smoothest thing because the trust was there. I was saying that the other day. I said, look, I called him. I said, Brian, we have 3 days to do this. And you got to trust me and I got to trust you. We were not, negotiations. You're not going to go high for me to go low for us to meet in the middle. This is it. And we got it done. So very excited. I think it brought a lot of excitement to the team. We have a full-time crew mechanics that actually, they don't travel to the races. They are shop based to help with the rotation of personnel. And they work in that car. So it was good to see their faces lit up when, everybody likes to work with a fast driver and have a car that has a chance to win the race.
Right. Well, you mentioned you driving that fourth car in the Arrow McLaren stable. In fact, I think it was 2013, which was your final Indy 500.
2023.
2023. Yeah, right. Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I came to Arrow McLaren because of my, obviously, friendship with Zach I mean, Gary, it was funny because I tried to retire 3 times. And this is, I know a lot of people are going to relate to these, but I announced my retirement prior to COVID. Then we went on, I'm like, I cannot race. Oh, shit. We dropped.
I've still got you, Tony.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You get,
No, let me pick it up. You guys can probably edit.
yeah, we
I
can edit it.
see
Yeah,
you guys.
we're good.
Okay. And then I go and I race, we race in August, the story. All the people don't, and it was empty. I'm like, I can't retire from this place. How good this place has been to me. So I'm going to come back another year. Then I came back for 2 more. And then I was with Chip Ganassi Racing. I almost won the race in 22, finished 3rd. Then Zach called. I'm like, Zach, this needs to be the end. And it was too close not to be, because then I was reserve driver to Kyle Larson just in case,
right.
because he was doing the double. So, yeah, retire here. And had no intention, Gary, to really be doing this amount of work at this intensity. When I announced my retirement, I was involved with the team in a consultant role and evolved to where I'm at today. I'm loving it. I think we're building a great organization. It's one of probably the biggest challenges of my career, past my racing career. So, yeah, that's how. And then the responsibility of the 4th car, then we got to carry on. So the only way I can win a 500 now, I depend on my 4 drivers.
Talk about, if you can, kind of the difference, the highly competitive environment and all that's involved in being a driver and a successful driver, and now on the management side, on the executive side, on the team leadership side. Are there any similarities? How do you find that your job now compared to your days as a driver?
There are a lot of similarities, Gary. I think number one to me, trust. You gotta, as a driver, I gotta trust my mechanics that I'm gonna hop in that car, and truly, nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm handing my life in their hands, right? If we have a mechanical failure, they forget to tie the bolt, and running the team is no different, right? And for me, the transition, like I said, I took this job a year ago. It was a little bit challenging because you had Tony Kanaan fans that work in racing, that now I'm their boss. I have guys that I worked my entire career with them, that they are actually above me or like same level as a driver, but then they were team managers, and now I'm running the place. You can't really, you got to set the tone as far as what the expectations are, and then divide the personal relationship to the long time friendship and filter all that. And then I think I was extremely lucky that, so in this organization, as of today, not from a year ago, but we've been developing, I won 17 races in IndyCar, an IndyCar championship and Indy 500. I have 6 individuals here in this team that, if you put all those wins and the championship and the 500 that I told you, a member of those 6 guys, they're in all my wins and championships and 500. So that says a lot of the credibility and the trust. So trust, man. I think in business, you have to sometimes make tough decisions, but as long as they trust the process, because now I'm making the decisions. And I think the worst thing for a business, and anyway, you can relate that, and I'm sure that's what it's about business. If you don't trust, if they think they don't trust you, and then they doubt what you're doing, I don't think you're being a good boss. Yeah, I think it's more of they need to know more than me. I'm not obligated. My job is to keep everybody in check and placing people in the right places, and especially on a performance-based team that we're only as good as the last race. My biggest job is actually to keep people motivated no matter what happened on Sunday.
Yeah. As you think about it, you're obviously in a very key role at Arrow McLaren now, but when you think back, when you retired, was it not your plan to get into kind of the management side? Did you just want to you walk away, or what led to that decision process to go this path?
This is an awesome question, because the most question I got before I retired is, what's next? And Gary, I have to admit, 10 thankfully, I was extremely successful in my career. So I don't come from a wealthy family. So we live our own means. Like we have a very basic, awesome life. I was not going to starve. So I had the flexibility to take a break and think about it. So I did not think about what was next. Obviously, there was a lot of talks. Are you going to TV? Are you doing this? I had no plans. So because of that, I think I create this because knowing Zach Brown, my boss, which has been my friend for 38 years, when he asked me, what are you doing next? I'm like, I really don't have plans. Had family plans. We bought a motorhome and I thought for the first time in 26 years, I could take the whole summer with my family. He says, well, why don't you come around just race weekends and help us out? So you don't, I'm like, that's a good transition. Yes, I can plan my life.
Yeah.
Well, that lasted 3 months. And then I went to a full time and 6 months later, I went to 10 principals. So it was very natural. I think in a way it was something that I know what I'm doing because I lived this, like side of it. But do I know a lot about the business side? I knew quite a bit because towards the end of my career, I managed all my sponsors and everything else. But to me, I think the one thing that my racing career prepared me for was I took risks every day of my life. I live a very obsessed in a good way, very structured, whatever you want to call it, OCD, eating the same thing like that. That obviously helps in any business, right? So when people say, man, you got a big decision to make in this chair, I'm not taking for granted, but when you make a decision at 230 miles an hour, or you have to make a decision to go again, it's a lot tougher. So I'm not trying to say I had a tougher job, but so it becomes one of those things that I think all those intimidations, insecurities that we all have. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and say, I think those help me overcome this new role, right? Oh, can I do this? I don't know. Maybe athletes are successful in their careers afterwards because we get put to a stress that I don't know if I can ever even explain to you guys what that feels, So it was a smooth transition. I used to say Zach tricked me, but I mean, I took the job.
That's good. Let's talk about Arrow McLaren Racing. It's a team that you've got a great stable of drivers, including Paddle Award, obviously, and the physical plant, your headquarters. I know you officially, I think, purchased a much larger building earlier this summer. Talk about this new facility because I know it's going to be state of the art, and it really adds to the Indy's reputation as racing capital of the world, I think.
Right. I mean, obviously, you talk about a business that is performance-based, like I said. And we are in a facility right now that when we bought this team from Sam Schmidt, he was a very small, they had 30 employees. We grow from 30 to 120 in the same building without any build-outs. So you can imagine, I joke saying that you can tell who got at the race shop after 8 a.m., because their cars are parked in the grass because the parking lot is totally full. So we are tight, we are constrained. And then when you're trying to actually go against the big dogs, the big teams that have all the infrastructure, what happens to us is the machine shop. We need to send some stuff out to make pieces for the race car because we can't do it in-house because we don't have space. Well, the lead time, shipping, and so we are behind from the get-go. We're not building a state-of-the-art facility to just say, oh, look how beautiful our building is. Because if I don't win races, that building is just going to be a beautiful building that is going to be for sale. So, and also working environment. Nowadays, you talk about, we're not in a bad one, but everybody, like, we're tight. And this is what this team needs. We are, as a brand, McLaren is very powerful. So when you talk about a brand that is this famous, had this much of credibility, the building doesn't match to the brand. It's kind of a perception as well. But in our view, in my view, is more of giving my employees the tools to be able to honor the pressure that the name and puts into us, right? Because they expect us to win. And that is fine, because that's the mentality I have. But And this is what this facility is doing. We bought, ironically, the building we're going back to, it's the old Andretti building, which is the building that I first started racing in IndyCar. So a lot of memories from it. Obviously, it's going to be completely different. We cut it out. We're building, redoing it, but it's a big investment. I think I got to thank the city as well to help us out. I think we're adding to a lot to the racing capital of the world. We're going to do shop tours, so actually the fans can actually enjoy seeing where we work and how we do things. And we're just adding to Indianapolis, and I think it has everything to do with Indy. So pretty excited about it.
Yeah. What, Tony, doing business in your business in racing in Indianapolis, how big of an advantage is it to have this headquarters operation, to have things running out of Indianapolis as opposed to some other location? I mean, I know the Charlotte area is big for NASCAR, right, but you look at open wheel, Indy's pretty special place.
Couple things. Obviously, you're very central. Everything happens in Indy for IndyCar. A lot of the manufacturers, the things that we need to outsource, they're here. But also people. IndyCar is a very unique series that to work on those cars, you have to have a certain level of skills. And everybody, like the majority of the teams are here. So if you move out of here, or when you go to Charlotte, it's hard to find mechanics that are specified on working in IndyCar. At some level, if you're just a mechanic, it's fine, but some people are actually, you need it. So the depth of the quality of people you can get, it's tough. And now if you try to hire somebody from here, you gotta, move. And these people have families, kids, they don't want to move out of Indy. They have all the teams here. So it was a strategic. I admire all the teams, a couple teams that do this, but if you look at Rahal moved from Columbus to here, but you still have Shank and Penske, but Penske is a much bigger organization with all other teams that he has in other series. But for us, it was crucial to be here because of the people. So I love Indy. I mean, Indy, for me personally, coming from Brazil and the story I had with Indianapolis since I was a little kid watching this race with my dad, meeting my wife in Indy. She is from Indy. I live here now. I wouldn't move out of here myself.
That's great. Yeah, I want to ask you about your youth in Brazil here in a moment. Tony? What's your take on the state of open wheel racing, of the IndyCar series? How do you sense the state of the sport is right now?
Look, there is no secret that we had a big gap when they separated two series, and the Speedway went one way and car went the other back in the day, but if you look at the last 2 years, especially last year when we sold out the 500, Fox acquired 35% of IndyCar. Roger bought the Speedway. We are on a climb also in a world that there is a lot of options nowadays, right? Gerry, my kids, they don't even watch TV anymore. They're all on the tablet so. Especially us growing with a demographic of the young kids that don't even know what IndyCar is because it's not their generation. We're on a climb. Obviously, we will always have to do better. I think Formula One actually set the tone in America since a few years ago. They were not as high up as IndyCar was, and that is just helping all of us. So to me, we're in a good spot. But the race car driver of me, I'm never happy. So we got to keep pushing. I think we have the greatest racetrack and the greatest postcard you can have, which is the Speedway. There is no track in the world that is older than Indianapolis, 100 plus years, and has the entire history. And then the people that actually won this races, they're legends. And so we have everything going on for us. Now it's up to us we have the hardcore old fans that know about IndyCar. The goal is how are we going to get this young generation to love cars that are going 230 miles an hour? You have kids. I have kids. My kid just turned 18, and some of his friends, and when they turned 16, they didn't even care that they would get a driver's license because they I don't think I need to drive. It's one of those things that I could not wait. Right. So hopefully we're in a climb. Fox is helping quite a bit. I think with their reach, we have ads in the Super Bowl now. We're getting to know. And in Indy, it's so easy because everybody knows us. You know, we have all the greatest sports. I mean, you talk about Indianapolis, how many great teams and we have as a city and as a state. It's an understatement, but we're growing.
That's good. Much more ahead with Tony Kanaan. When we return, we'll talk about growing up in Brazil, watching the Indianapolis 500, and ultimately coming here and winning the Indianapolis 500. Win the Business and Beyond podcast. Return. Stay with us.
As a bank, PNC prides itself on being boring. But the truth is they couldn't be more excited to serve the dynamic Indianapolis community. For nearly 160 years, they've quietly toiled away to deliver brilliant results for their equally brilliant clients. They have dedicated PNC teams throughout the local area all ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your own brilliance. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association member FDIC.
We build Indiana. The Laborers International Union of North America builds and maintains roads, bridges, and other essential infrastructure that make us the crossroads of America. So thanks to LIUNA members' work, Hoosiers have a better quality of life, like access to utilities, easier routes to jobs, schools, or medical care, and deliveries keep moving. We build Indiana for good jobs and stronger communities. The Laborers International Union of North America. We are LIUNA.
And welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week is Indianapolis 500 champion Tony Kanaan. He is currently the team principal at Arrow McLaren Racing here in Indianapolis, a team making a major investment in the city, in the sport, and that benefits a lot of people. Tony, in terms of the commitment and the investment, because that's substantial. You know, we talked about the new building, which I think doubles, maybe triples the size of your space there. That's a substantial investment.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we acquired this team 5-6 years ago, and we stay in the current building, which we didn't own at the time. And like I said before, to grow this team to a level, we needed to get a new facility. And we acquired a facility 2 years ago, which was the Andretti race team. But then it was an old building. So we basically got it and remodeled to the same way we all wanted. So it took a big investment, but also the commitment. I think the message there was we're spending between the building renovation. You can go between 22, 25 million because depending the way you look, to me, it's like you're never going to be on the dot, but it's a big commitment to IndyCar, to my employees. It's like we came here to stay. We're not just like riding a wave here. And, nobody makes that big of an investment if you're thinking short term. So I never did that. I'm not that kind. When I came to this team, I told Zach, I retire here. I want to retire again here in a different position. So we have a plan. I mean, our business plan is going beyond 2030 right now. I mean, if you can predict, but like we're working on past 28. We're looking to 2030, doing, obviously all the due diligence on budget numbers. What do we need? Projections. And so we're here to stay. So basically to justify that investment, I have to have that kind of plan. Otherwise, I still have a boss. Zach still has a boss, which is the board and the investors. So we need to keep it in check. So obviously, we're a big brand. Is everybody? A lot of the people wanted to be associated with us, which makes it easier. But we have to have a case to basically present to them as well. What are you doing? And what is exactly?
Yeah. Tony, let's go back to your years ago, growing up in Brazil, and I think your story is one of the reasons so many people are big fans of yours. Growing up in Brazil and dreaming about the Indianapolis 500 and listening to or watching the Indianapolis 500. Take us back to those earliest of days, because that's when you really, I think, developed that love affair with Indy.
Oh, yeah. Gerry, obviously, my dad, right? As a little kid, since I was 5-6 years old, Dad loved racing. Formula One, IndyCar, he watched everything. And obviously, I'm home and we watched together. So solely, it was my dad's fault, if you want to call it that way. But I remember watching on Memorial Day weekend, watching the 500, looking the cars in the oval, the speed. I was like mesmerized. But then to me as a kid, as an 8-year-old, The only reason I wanted to come win the Indy 500 was because you remember back in the day that the winner would take a picture with $1 million in cash around the car. And I thought that was the coolest thing. So that's all I wanted it to do. It wasn't because of the tradition. I mean, as a kid, you're so innocent. We're like, I think it was going to be really cool to show all my friends at school that I'm a plus. If you win, you're not at school anymore. So that's how twisted that was. And that is how my passion for the 500 started it. And then I started racing when I was 8 because of my dad. And unfortunately, when I was 13 years old, Dad passed away. He battled cancer for a few years, and obviously he was the only reason I started racing. He was my sponsor. He was the only reason I was racing. And throughout his illness, I think obviously as a dad, you would relate. I relate. Everybody as a dad will relate. But he didn't expect the worst, but he was eventually had to prepare me a little bit. I guess I'm the oldest of my siblings, of which I just have a sister, but I'm the man of the house, I guess. And Dad started to talk to me about life and goals. And so the day before he passed, there was on Thursday night, I had a go-kart race that weekend. I left the track on Thursday, as usually the weekends are, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then my mom told me to go visit him in the hospital, which I've done quite a bit. And we sat down and we talked for a couple hours. And I'm not trying to make it that for people to understand. He was totally fine. He was ill, but not like I would never have said he was going to pass that day. And we talked quite a bit. And before I left, he says, "Hey, before you leave, can you promise me a couple of things?" I said, "Sure, Dad. What is it?" He goes, "Well, if one day I'm not around anymore, can you take care of your mom and sister? But go in the Indy 500 for me." And that stuck in my head, right? And Gerry, I went home that night. When I woke up Friday morning, my mom was home, which is like it didn't make any sense. And she sat down with me. She says, "Look, your dad went to sleep and didn't wake up." That's the way she put it to me. But I was like extremely sad. But I think as a kid, we became a lot more emotional when we're older. I think we've been through so much. Like as a kid, I couldn't really process right away. But then she goes, "But before he went to sleep, he told me for you to remember what he asked you." And she didn't know what it was. I said, "Okay." So I said, "Well, Mom, I'm going to go to the racetrack," because I had a race that weekend. And she's like, "Okay." So obviously she didn't want to ask. So I did that. I won the race that weekend, the go-kart race. And to me, from then on, that's my story with Indy started, right? We probably need another 3 hours for me to tell the whole quest. But from then on, that was my goal. From then on, obviously we went in a very we struggled financially quite a bit because Dad was the only provider of my family as a Lebanese person, from nature. Back then in the day, they're very like, my woman works works at home and takes care of the kids. So my mom never really had worked, and I had to quit school to go follow the dream and the promise I made him. And that's when everything changed because I had to grow up much quicker. I was 13. My education, it's 8th grade. I stopped going to school at 8th grade because I had to work in racing to be able to race and also make a little bit of money to help Mom. But from then on, people ask, "Well, what about if it didn't work?" So plan A was plan A. I didn't have a plan B. And fast forward a little bit, went to Europe. I live in a race shop. I slept in a mattress on the floor in a race shop in Italy for 4 years. Then I finally got the opportunity to come to America. Again, I had to make a survival in racing. So I didn't come to America straight because there wasn't an opportunity. I had to try to create that. Landed here in 96, spoke 0 English, which according to my kids, I still don't. and started racing Indy next. I won the championship in 97, 98, I moved to IndyCar. So let's fast forward to my first Indy 500 because like I said before, we had the split between 2 series. I didn't come to IRL at the time. 2002 was my first year at the Speedway. And Gerry, I was in America since 96 and I promised myself I was not going to step a foot inside the Speedway if I was not going to be in a race car. I didn't want to experience just being a tourist. And I did that. So from 2002 to 2013, that's when my story really started. with the fans and this place. I think they found out about my story, but 12 years, I actually had finished second, third, fourth, fifth. The race is 200 laps. I had led more than an entire race. If you combined all my laps led, I kept saying I hadn't led the right lap yet.
Right.
And the year that I was with the smallest team, I had actually got let go from Andretti on a multi-year deal that unfairly I got let go. I went to the smallest team that never had won a race, and we built something extremely special. Just a little parenthesis: 3 people there in this story, they're here today.
Oh, wow.
With me. And it was going to be my last Indy 500. Nobody knew, but we're running out of money. And actually, after the Indy 500 that year, we didn't even have the money to continue the season. So I never held anything against the Speedway, but it was always like the most annoying question I got every month of May was, is this the year? And I wanted to say, no, I just wanted to participate. They need 33 cars, so I just want to be here.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it happened, man. And I think, let alone how special winning this race as a driver, regardless of your story, it's Indy. Indy was part of my childhood since I was 8. At 13 became not an option, a goal for life. And then I come here, I meet my wife inside the Speedway. We've been together for 19 years now. Moved my kids here. I have 4 kids. 3 of them were born here. And this city, man, this city is, to me, it's everything. They make me feel like a big head up until this day. The most simplest task, it takes me an extra hour and a half, and I love it because people are still, want to give it back to me. They appreciate it. And I think also, I hope they understand how much I really care about this place and how much this place means to me. It's not just because I want to be a famous race car driver. So it's a great story. Funny to say that a Brazilian became a Hoosier, but we have Brazil, Indiana, so we can just relate that I'm from there. And but yeah, that's the story, and
yeah,
I love it. I love to tell it. I love that people relate and recognize that it's a cool one.
And I love a lot of people love to hear that story, and I tell you, listening to that, Tony, it's no surprise at all that you are such a fan favorite. It is a great story, a testament to your perseverance, your passion, and I know you're bringing all that to your new role at Arrow McLaren Racing, and look forward to more success for you, Tony, going forward. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us on the podcast. Good luck, and I hope to see you in 2026.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. It is a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can download all of our episodes and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gerry Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
From breaking news to in-depth articles, discover the advantage of the unlimited access to all news from IBJ and Inside Indiana Business with our limited time trial. Get started now at ibj.com/trial offer. Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.